Hi, I'm Paul, the running shoe guru, and today we're going to talk about the Nike Vaporfly, the Next Percent, the 4%, the Alphafly, and if they should be banned. First of all, let's look at the whole story surrounding carbon-plated racing shoes and competition shoes, where it started, where we're up to today, and try and look a little bit where it's going to end up. This week in the mainstream press, a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon saying that the Nike shoe is going to be banned. Now, although World Athletics have said they're investigating the future of footwear, there's been no announcement specifically regarding the Nike or any other shoe, and there are a lot of shoes in the pipeline that will be released very, very soon. So it was all conjecture, a little bit of clickbait. So we're going to try and look at a few areas, what may happen in the future, and we can get a full story of what's been going on to date. First of all, carbon-plated shoes aren't new, and depending on how long you've been around in athletics, you may remember this, a beautiful shoe made by Fila around about 2000. This was the Fila Racer, and famously it had the carbon Kevlar plate in the sole. You can see a cutaway window exposed in the midfoot here, and originally carbon plated shoes did have carbon midfoot shanks. There was the Brooks shoe and the Puma Graflex before this one, but previously it was mainly put in there to reduce the weight by cutting away a lot of the midsole in the middle of the foot that really didn't come into contact with the ground, but used to stabilise laterally the flex of the shoe. The Fila Racer here had the carbon plate running through the midfoot and into this area. So it did give you a really responsive feel. Paul Tergat certainly liked it, and he ran in Berlin in 2003 and ran a world record in these shoes as well, 2:04:55 at the time, which we all thought was amazing, but it did become a very, very popular shoe. Now, if we fast forward 15 years or so, we had 2016, we had the Breaking 2 attempt from Nike and Eliud Kipchoge wearing the 4% shoe. And really what we had going on here was a combination of a new foam, a Pebax based foam, which was a more resilient, springy kind of material. And we saw racing shoes increasing the stack height, the overall height of the cushioning in the shoe. Now, a springy foam isn't really enough to power you down the road because essentially part of you would almost sink into the shoe. So what Nike did was put the carbon fibre plate in there, but it was pre-formed and generally speaking following the red line that you can see in the midsole. So the shoe was to improve efficiency over the marathon distance, which would in turn hopefully make you a little bit quicker. So by striking towards the rear of the foot, you essentially loaded the spring in this area, and as your foot rolled forward, the spring kind of pushed back into its original position and gave you that responsive toe off. It came very close then, 2 hours and 25 seconds, and we all know that the rest is history from there. But this was really where it all started in 2016. So fast forwarding again a couple of years. Now, we then had this one, the ZoomX Vaporfly Next Percent. So named because it gave you the next percent, a little bit more efficiency, and in turn, famously, boom, sub 2 hours in Vienna. Now, what went on here? Even more of the ZoomX foam, and this is where we get really serious in terms of the stack height of the shoe. A lot of Hoka shoes, for example, top out around 35-36 millimeters, 39 millimeters in depth here, so a really high shoe. Lots of the ZoomX foam, which is really compliant, returns to its original shape very quickly, and in conjunction with the curved carbon plate gives you a big kind of spring off, toe off effect, very responsive feel. Keeps you feeling fresh, creates a bigger lever under the forefoot to push off, and has led to a lot of people running very quickly. A lot of other brands have created similar models. We had the Hawker shoe, the Hawker Carbon X. Again, big cushioning, but using Hawker's foam and a carbon fibre plate in the midsole. In this shoe, the carbon fibre though is predominantly quite flat, sandwiched between the blue and white material layers of the midsole. It didn't give you quite the push-off, but Jim Walmsley did run a 50k world best in this shoe on its release. So, you know, ultra-distance runners did like it. And then also late last year, New Balance, the 5280, a carbon-plated racer specifically aimed at mile runners on the road. A beautiful shoe, really, really lightweight. You can see the curvature of the shoe, carbon fibre plate embedded in the midsole, and a shoe that is really designed for someone that's landing mid to forefoot. So they've shaped the plate a little bit more. You're not getting the heel midfoot striker that you would get for someone running a marathon, but if you're running a mile, then a beautiful fast shoe, amazing. And something perhaps that might come through into track spikes this season, and incorporating the carbon fibre into the spike plate. But the controversy last week was all about banning the shoe. Like I say, no announcement from World Athletics, previously known as IAAF, as to the shoe. But where confusion stemmed from was originally, I'm guessing, the Sub 2. Now, what we've got to remember is, with the Sub 2, there were a lot of factors contributing to that. We did focus on the shoes a little bit because they looked amazing, and they were a prototype that took this model even further. We believe they're going to be called the Alphafly. Now, whereas this is 39 millimeters in the stack height, the Alphafly is reportedly going to be around 50 millimeters, really high. And to stabilize such a springy material, it has dual carbon plates in the forefoot with Nike Zuma units embedded above and below the plates. So it's going to be incredibly responsive. Can it be banned? When it comes to footwear, it comes in all shapes and sizes. We see with the New Balance, we've got the very shallow midsole, the Next Percent, a very deep midsole, and we've got everything in between. There is legislation, incidentally, on high jump spikes, and high jump spikes in the rules are limited to 19 millimeters of stack height, the overall depth of the cushioning in the heel of the shoe. Obvious reasons for that. We've not seen anybody high jumping in these. Well, I've certainly not. But the speculation is that any ruling that comes into place in the future would limit the stack height. No announcements. The Alphafly has been spotted being tested by numerous runners only this week, so it could be released very quickly. So any ruling, I'm guessing, would have to be made, any announcement by World Athletics would have to be made very soon, because it would be tricky to ban shoes that are already on sale. And this is where the current rules lie. Shoes should be generally available to all, or reasonably available to all. That's the current rules over footwear. So we don't want anybody running in a prototype shoe that's very springy and having a distinct advantage over the competitors when you stand on the start line. But the 4%, the original 4%, it was available to all. When Monza took place, and indeed at the Ineos 159 Challenge in Vienna, Kipchoge ran in the prototype shoe, but there were other factors. There were the pacemakers, there were the gels being handed to him, there was a special surface. So none of those things made the actual time legal or an official world record. So it was purely an experiment. And the world record that Kipchoge himself has is in the standard shop version, shall we say, of this shoe, and it does look the standard edition. People may say that it's doctored and made specifically for the individual athlete. From what we see in photographs, it looks the same thing, and even Bridget Koskai's shoe that people mentioned in the reports this week, saying her ladies' world record could be banned, again, it does look like she's running in the standard shoe. So if a shoe is reasonably available to all, then as a rule stand, it's a legal shoe. So if a new shoe does come on sale, it's available to all, regardless of whether you choose to buy it or not and stump up the £200 plus. It's available to all. So it's an exciting time for footwear, and it's an exciting time for athletics. Certainly for the regular athlete, there's some great shoes coming out. Saucony, New Balance, Asics, Nike themselves, all have carbon-plated shoes due out this spring, and we've already got a big showdown lined up with, albeit two Nike-sponsored athletes in Kipchoge and Fila at London, so it'll be interesting to see what shoes they wear. But that the weeks around the Boston Marathon and the London Marathon are usually key times for brands releasing new models, so that's enough time to watch out for them if they don't come out sooner to try and preempt any potential banning over the stack height. Hope that's a little bit more informative to you.